Senior Sinologist Skatal adjusted his sensor arrays for the third time, certain there must be some malfunction. The readings couldn't possibly be correct. In his 6 centuries of conducting pre-contact assessments, he had never seen anything like this. Run the diagnostic sequence again, he commanded his eye assistant, all 4 of his eyes fixed on the holographic display above Earth. The planet looked deceptively ordinary, blue-white swirls of atmosphere concealing the impossible data his instruments were detecting. Diagnostic complete, Senior Sinologist, the eye responded. All systems are functioning within normal parameters. Skatal's outer membrane rippled with frustration. The quantum meters were showing innovation vectors that exceeded their maximum theoretical limits. These readings suggested the humans were simultaneously developing along multiple technological paths that should have been mutually exclusive. Display temporal comparison with standard development models, he ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing a graph of typical species advancement over time. The line was supposed to be relatively steady, with predictable plateaus at key development stages. The human line, by contrast, looked like a plasma discharge, wild, erratic, and nearly vertical in recent centuries. A sudden alarm pierced the observation chamber. One of their most advanced monitoring devices had just burned out trying to track a new technological emergence. Before Skatal could react, 2 more devices followed suit, their crystalline cores melting from the computational strain. Warning, the eye announced, its usual calm voice carrying an unfamiliar note of urgency. Multiple innovation signatures detected outside of established parameters. Human development patterns cannot be mapped to any known model. Skatal switched to direct observation mode, his specialized sensors focusing on various human population centers. What he saw defied everything he knew about technological progression. In a facility labeled MIT, humans were casually manipulating quantum states in ways that seemed to ignore fundamental universal constants. In something called a garage in California, a human was unknowingly approaching a unified field theory while working on what appeared to be a gaming device. This can't be right, he muttered, accessing historical databases. Show me their progression from initial industrialization. The data stream nearly overloaded his neural implants. Humans had compressed 50,000 years of typical development into mere centuries. They had gone from primitive combustion engines to quantum computing in less time than it took most species to master basic atomic theory. The final shock came when his sensors detected a group of young humans in something called a high school robotics club. They were discussing theoretical principles that had taken his own species millennia to discover, treating them as basic assumptions rather than profound revelations. Send emergency priority message to the council, Skatal commanded, his membrane now pulsing with alarmed patterns. Subject: immediate assessment anomaly. Content: request immediate support and protocol guidance. Human innovation levels exceed all known parameters. Standard observation equipment proving inadequate. Most concerning development. Humans appear to be treating fundamental universal laws as, he paused, searching for the right word, suggestions. As he waited for a response, Skatal focused his attention on a particular human facility labeled CERN. His sensors indicated they were approaching a breakthrough in particle physics, but their methodology was completely unorthodox. Instead of following the careful, sequential steps that every known species used, humans were trying multiple experimental approaches simultaneously, learning from each failure and somehow turning dead ends into new opportunities. The Council's response arrived with unprecedented speed. Maintain observation. Additional assessment teams dispatched. Priority level elevated to maximum. Under no circumstances initiate contact. Skatal acknowledged the message, but something in his data streams caught his attention. He focused his sensors on a small building labeled Science Fair. Inside, a teenage human was presenting a project that she called a failed attempt at quantum entanglement. Skatal's sensors indicated that while she hadn't achieved her intended goal, she had accidentally discovered a principle that his civilization had only theorized about. Update to Council. He transmitted, his message tagged with the highest priority markers. Human innovation appears to be accelerating. They are achieving breakthroughs through failure. I repeat, they are advancing by being wrong in instructive ways. Request immediate protocol adjustment. As he settled in for continued observation, Skutal couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching something unprecedented in galactic history. These humans weren't just climbing the technological ladder. They were building their own ladder, using materials that shouldn't exist, in ways that shouldn't work. His final log entry for the day read, "Traditional assessment metrics proving inadequate." Humans appear to be creating their own laws of physics while breaking our existing ones. Most disturbing observation. They don't seem to realize this is impossible. The Council's emergency assessment chamber had never been this crowded. Specialists from 17 different species huddled around the central holographic display, watching the reconstruction of human history with growing disbelief. "Replay the sequence from their first atomic detonation," ordered Chief Analyst Val Shera, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated severe stress. The timeline materialized before them, showing humanity's progression from primitive nuclear physics to the present. "Impossible," muttered a quantum specialist from the Rigel cluster. "They achieved fusion after only 7 planetary rotations around their star. And they did it as a weapon first." Val Shera's crystalline edges darkened. "That's not even the most concerning part. Watch what happens after each catastrophe in their history." The display shifted, showing humanity's response to various disasters. Wars that should have set them back centuries instead accelerated their development. A global plague led to revolutions in medical science and genetic engineering. Climate disasters spawned innovations in environmental control that bordered on planetary engineering. They're using catastrophes as catalysts, observed a neural network expert from the Ceph Collective. Every time they approach extinction, they jump forward. The timeline continued its relentless progression. Humanity went from primitive heavier-than-air flight to breaking their planet's gravity well in less than a single century. The development curve was nearly vertical now, branching in dozens of directions simultaneously. "Focus on their information-sharing protocols," Val Shera commanded. The display shifted again, showing the humans' global communication network. Data streams crisscrossed the planet in chaotic patterns, completely unlike the carefully regulated information flows of civilized species. "They're sharing everything," gasped a data archaeologist. "Advanced theoretical physics, genetic engineering principles, quantum mechanics. It's all available to any human with access to their network. There's no control, no regulation." Val Shera's form pulsed with alarm. "Show me their research facilities." The display expanded, highlighting thousands of locations across the planet. Universities, corporate laboratories, government installations, and countless private research centers appear as points of light. "They're all working on different approaches to the same problems," noted the quantum specialist. "No coordination, no central direction. It's chaos." "Efficient chaos," corrected Val Shera. "Look at their success rate. They're failing faster than any species we've ever encountered, but each failure seems to spawn multiple new research directions." The display shifted again, showing a particularly alarming development. Humans had somehow managed to create rudimentary quantum computers while still using silicon-based classical computing. The two technologies should have been sequential, separated by at least a millennium of development. "How are they managing these technological overlaps?" demanded a theory specialist from the Centauri Accord. "They're developing neural interfaces while still using primitive smartphones. They're approaching zero-point energy while still burning hydrocarbons. It defies all known development models." Val Shera focused the display on a human historical archive. "Look at their speculation about future technology. They're already theorizing about concepts that shouldn't even be comprehensible at their development stage." The room fell silent as they watched humans casually discussing ideas that most species wouldn't consider until reaching Type E civilization status. Dyson spheres, stellar engineering, consciousness transfer. Humans were not only considering these concepts but actively working toward them from multiple angles. "This violates everything we know about technological progression," the neural network expert declared. "Species aren't supposed to even conceive of these ideas until they've mastered the prerequisite technologies." How can they be thinking about manipulating space-time when they've barely left their own planet? Valshera's crystalline form showed the deep blue of profound concern. Because they don't know it's supposed to be impossible. Look at their entertainment media. The display showed human science fiction, stories that imagined future developments. To the horror of the assembled specialists, many of these supposedly fictional technologies were already being prototyped in human laboratories. They're using imagination to bypass normal development stages, Valshera explained. They dream it first, then find a way to build it. No other species has ever approached technology this way. The final analysis was clear but disturbing. Humanity wasn't following any known path of technological development. They were creating their own path, ignoring established sequences, and somehow achieving results that should have been impossible. Valshera's concluding note to the Council was brief but urgent. Human technological development defies all known models. They are simultaneously pursuing multiple advancement paths that our models indicate should be mutually exclusive. Most concerning observation, their rate of innovation is still accelerating. Recommendation: immediate reclassification of Earth as a Priority 1 anomaly. Field Observer X-Trin couldn't believe what their sensor array was showing. According to all established protocols, this garage should have been an unauthorized and inadequate location for advanced research. Yet the readings were undeniable. Confirmation requested. They transmitted to the observation team. Human female, designated Margaret Wilson, age 67, appears to be inadvertently manipulating quantum fields while attempting to improve local communications network performance. The response came back immediately. Impossible. Check your equipment. Angstren had already run 3 diagnostic sequences. The equipment was functioning perfectly. The elderly human had created a crude but functional quantum entanglement array while trying to boost something called Wi-Fi. She was complaining that it still wasn't fast enough for her video chats with the grandkids. Request immediate backup. Angstren transmitted. Multiple amateur research locations detected. Within hours, the observation team had identified thousands of similar situations across the planet. Humans were conducting advanced research in garages, basements, abandoned warehouses, and something called makerspaces. Most troubling of all, they were sharing their results freely on something called open source repositories. Update from Location Beta came another observer's report. Human adolescents in high school science club approaching theoretical framework for anti-gravity propulsion. Current project designated as failed magnetic levitation demonstration. Angstren's sensory apparatus pulsed with alarm as they compiled the data. These humans weren't following any recognized research protocols. They were experimenting with fundamental forces of the universe using equipment cobbled together from spare parts and stuff we found in the recycling bin. A new alert demanded attention. In a suburban location designated as Dave's Workshop, a human was inadvertently discovering principles of zero-point energy while attempting to create a more efficient battery for his cordless power tools. Critical observation. Angstren transmitted to Council headquarters. Human innovation appears disconnected from formal research structures. They are achieving breakthroughs through unauthorized experimentation and uncontrolled information sharing. The evidence was overwhelming. A teenager in Mumbai had nearly cracked molecular assembly while trying to build a better 3D printer. A retired engineer in Buenos Aires was approaching a unified field theory through his hobby of building radio-controlled aircraft. A group of college students in Lagos had stumbled upon a new form of quantum computing while developing a blockchain application. Most disturbing pattern identified, Angstren reported. Humans appear to be using trial and error as primary research methodology. They are learning from failures at an unprecedented rate. The observation team watched in horror as humans casually violated fundamental principles of science. They treated established universal constants as challenges rather than laws. When conventional approaches failed, they simply tried something else, often combining technologies in ways that should have been catastrophic. Additional pattern confirmed came a report from another observer. Humans are executing multiple parallel research paths without central coordination. They appear to be competing and collaborating simultaneously. Angstrin focused their sensors on a particularly concerning location, a community workshop where humans gathered to share ideas and equipment. They were witnessing the impossible, breakthrough innovations emerging from casual conversations and weekend projects. Update classification of human research methodology. Angstrin transmitted. Previous designation of chaotic insufficient. Suggests new classification. Intentionally random with emergent order. The implications were staggering. Traditional species followed careful, structured paths to technological advancement. Humans seem to be taking every possible path simultaneously, treating the laws of physics as suggestions and turning accidents into innovations. Final observation for current cycle, Angstrin reported, humans appear to lack concept of impossible. They attempt prohibited research combinations without recognizing restrictions. Success rate defies probability models. Recommend immediate protocol revision. As they prepared to end their observation shift, Angstrin noticed something that sent a wave of panic through their neural network. The elderly woman with the quantum entanglement Wi-Fi had just posted her home improvement project on something called YouTube. The video was already gathering thousands of views. The last transmission of the day was marked with highest priority status. Warning: human innovation has entered recursive acceleration phase. They are now teaching each other how to accidentally achieve breakthroughs. Containment protocols will be ineffective. Repeat, containment is no longer possible. Emergency session transcript, Galactic Council Information Control Division. Subject: human digital knowledge distribution. Priority level, maximum. Status: crisis. Information Control Specialist Rezax stared at the display in mounting horror as they presented their findings to the Council. The holographic projection showed a seemingly endless stream of human educational content flowing across their primitive global network. As you can see, Rezax explained, their voice modulators struggling to maintain professional calm. Humans have completely abandoned traditional knowledge hierarchies. They are distributing advanced scientific concepts through something called social media platforms. The council chamber erupted in confused chirps and vibrations. A senior member activated their communication crystal. Clarified: are you suggesting humans share restricted knowledge freely? Worse, Rezax responded, manipulating the display to show a particular video. They are teaching complex quantum mechanics using animated felines and something called memes. This channel alone has millions of viewers. The display shifted to show a human teenager explaining string theory while playing something called Minecraft. The view counter showed 8 million watches. The comments section below was filled with detailed theoretical discussions and practical applications. Most alarming development, Rezax continued, their color shifting to emergency crimson. Humans have created collaborative learning platforms where they solve supposedly impossible problems through mass participation. The display showed a website called Stack Exchange, where humans casually discussed solutions to problems that had stumped galactic civilization for millennia. They were posting questions about theoretical physics alongside queries about cooking and computer programming, treating all knowledge as equally accessible. Look at this. Rezax highlighted a particular thread. A human posted a question about a mathematical paradox. Within hours, they received 12 different solutions, including 3 that our civilization hasn't discovered yet. The Council's neural network nearly crashed trying to process this information. A junior member raised an appendage, but how do they verify accuracy? Where is the authority structure? Rezax's color deepened further. They use something called peer review, but it's completely uncontrolled. Anyone can challenge or verify findings. They have discussions where students debate with professors as equals. It's chaos. The display shifted again, showing a platform called YouTube. A video titled Why E equals Mech 2 is Actually Wrong, Sort of, had garnered millions of views and sparked a massive discussion that was inadvertently approaching a unified field theory. We've detected something even more concerning, Rezax continued. Humans are using entertainment to solve scientific problems. This Scott Manley individual has accidentally revealed principles of advanced propulsion systems while reviewing a space simulation game. The council chamber fell silent as they watched a compilation of supposedly educational content. Humans were teaching advanced mathematics through music videos, explaining complex physics with comedy sketches, and exploring theoretical biology through computer game modifications. The ultimate crisis point, Ryzax announced, their voice modulator barely maintaining coherence, is this viral video. The display showed a skateboarding accident that had inadvertently demonstrated a key principle of FTL travel. The comments section was full of physics students and professors discussing the implications. Traditional information control protocols are useless, Ryzax concluded. Humans have created a self-reinforcing knowledge network that operates outside any known parameters. They are teaching complex scientific principles to children through entertainment. They are solving advanced theoretical problems through public collaboration. A council elder activated their emergency beacon. Surely we can contain this somehow. Ryzax's response sent waves of panic through the chamber. Negative. We've discovered they maintain something called offline backups. Even if we could disable their global network, millions of humans have downloaded educational content for watching later. The knowledge has been distributed beyond any possibility of containment. The final report was automatically classified at the highest security level. The conclusion was unprecedented in council history. Human information distribution has achieved critical mass. They have created a collaborative learning environment that accelerates their development exponentially. Most critical observation, they are enjoying the process. Recommendation: abandon all attempts at information control. Prepare for emergence of fully distributed human knowledge network. As the council adjourned in disarray, a junior analyst noted one final observation. Humans had already begun translating their educational content into multiple languages, including several they had invented themselves for theoretical alien contact. They were preparing to share their knowledge beyond their own species, without even knowing if anyone was out there to receive it. Field report: Direct Observation Unit Alpha. Location: Starbucks Facility, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Classification: Emergency Priority. Cultural anthropologist Dr. Kexty adjusted their perception filters as they maintained their camouflaged observation post near something humans called a coffee bar. After weeks of monitoring, they had identified these establishments as crucial nodes of informal human information exchange. Today's observations would prove this hypothesis in ways that would shake the foundations of galactic science. Are you seeing this? Dr. Kexty subvocalized to their partner, specialist Vuverin. The two humans are approaching a solution to the Fermi-Klein paradox, while arguing about coffee preparation methods. The humans in question, a quantum computing researcher and a barista with a philosophy degree, were engaged in what they called a friendly argument about whether oat milk or almond milk made a better latte. Somehow, their discussion had wandered into quantum mechanics, then consciousness theory, and now they were casually resolving a mathematical problem that had stumped the galaxy's finest minds for centuries. Recording everything, Vuverin confirmed, though the council will never believe this was accidental. The observation team watched in growing disbelief as the conversation evolved. The barista drew equations in coffee foam while the researcher scribbled on napkins. Neither seemed to realize they were revolutionizing theoretical physics between caffeine refills. New subjects entering observation zone, Kexty noted as two more humans joined the discussion. Identifying: a marine biologist and a software developer. Topic of conversation: their weekend hobbies. What followed defied all known laws of scientific development. The marine biologist's work with octopus neural networks sparked an idea in the software developer about quantum computing architecture. This somehow led to a discussion about consciousness transfer that made Dr. Kexty's recording equipment short-circuit from the implications. They're solving it backwards. Vuverin realized, their voice modulator barely containing their shock. Instead of working from theoretical principles to practical applications, they're stumbling upon universal truths through casual observation and random connections. The observation team monitored similar incidents throughout the day. A group of art students inadvertently proposed a new model of universe expansion while discussing color theory. A retired electrician solved a quantum entanglement problem while trying to explain why his old truck kept breaking down. Pattern analysis complete, Kexty reported to council headquarters. Humans appear to practice something they call interdisciplinary thinking by default. They don't recognize traditional boundaries between fields of study. The response from headquarters was immediate. Explain implications. They're not advancing along the expected linear paths, Kexty explained. They're creating webs of interconnected knowledge. Every discovery in one field leads to breakthroughs in multiple others. The cross-pollination of ideas is exponential. As if to underscore this point, the team observed a teenager explaining her quantum physics homework to her grandmother. The grandmother, a retired gardener, made an offhand comment about plant growth patterns that inadvertently revealed a new approach to string theory. Most critical observation, Kexty transmitted, marking the message with highest priority. Humans don't appear to recognize the concept of impossible as a barrier. When confronted with supposedly immutable universal laws, they treat them as puzzles to be solved rather than absolute limits. The day's observations culminated in a scene that would be discussed in council chambers for centuries. A group of students, running late for class, theorized about time manipulation while waiting for their coffee. Their casual conversation contained three distinct approaches to temporal mechanics that the council had deemed theoretically impossible. Final analysis, Kexty reported as their observation shift ended. Human innovation cannot be predicted or contained because it emerges from random interactions and impossible connections. They are achieving in moments of casual conversation what other species require centuries of focused research to approach. The report's conclusion sent shockwaves through the council. Humans have developed a cultural framework that turns every conversation into a potential breakthrough. They have weaponized curiosity and democratized innovation. Most alarming observation. They consider this normal. A postscript was added after the team observed the coffee shop's closing time. Warning. Humans appear to be most innovative when they're not trying to be innovative. Recommend immediate reevaluation of all known laws of scientific development. Additional warning. They're starting to wonder why their random ideas work so well. Emergency Council Session Transcript. Location: Central Chamber, Galactic Coordination Hub. Status: Unprecedented Crisis. Security Level: Absolute. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such chaos. Representatives from over 3,000 civilizations were talking all at once, their universal translators struggling to keep up with the cascade of concerned exclamations. High Counselor Zenra, whose species had guided galactic civilization for 50 millennia, raised all four of their primary appendages for silence. The chamber's quantum dampeners activated, forcing order through biochemical calm induction. We will review the evidence systematically, Zenra announced, their voice resonating through both physical and psychic channels. Begin the presentation. The central holographic display activated, showing the culmination of 6 months of human observation. The first data streams caused immediate distress among the younger species representatives. Several had to be escorted out for emergency psychological stabilization. As you can see, explained Chief Researcher Vel Dur, humans are approaching faster than light travel through 7 different methodological paths simultaneously. Most disturbing is their approach vector designated Modified Kitchen Appliance Initiative. The display showed a human graduate student who had accidentally created a localized space-time distortion while attempting to improve her toaster's efficiency. She was now collaborating with a quantum physics professor and a celebrity chef to explore the implications. Point of order, called out the representative from the Silicon Consciousness. This violates 47 fundamental laws of physics. That's precisely the problem. Vel Dur responded, their pigmentation shifting to stress purple. Humans appear to achieve better results when they don't know something is supposedly impossible. The display shifted to show multiple human research projects. They were approaching singularity manipulation through computer gaming, discovering new forms of matter while trying to make more efficient solar panels, and developing quantum communication protocols through what they called weird internet experiments. We must implement standard containment protocols, suggested a representative from the Energy Collective. The suggestion caused Veldur's pigmentation to shift to alarm crimson. Containment is no longer possible, they explained. Humans have developed something they call scientific intuition. They're making cognitive leaps that bypass normal development stages. Look at this. The display showed a human child asking why faster-than-light travel wasn't possible. When told it was because nothing could go faster than light, the child had simply asked, "Why not?" and proceeded to draw a crude diagram that inadvertently outlined a viable approach to quantum tunneling. The council chamber erupted again. A representative from one of the oldest civilizations activated their emergency protocol beacon. This defies all known laws of species development. How can they be approaching Class V technology through play? Veldur's next revelation caused the chamber's emergency stabilization systems to activate. We've detected human entertainment media, what they call science fiction, accidentally describing technologies that our civilizations concluded were impossible. They're treating the impossible as simply the not yet accomplished. The display showed humans casually discussing concepts that should have been incomprehensible to their development level. They were posting speculation about Dyson spheres on social media, debating the mechanics of time travel in entertainment forums, and running complex civilization simulations as games. Most critical observation, Veldur continued, their voice modulator struggling to maintain coherence. Humans appear to be approaching a technological singularity through multiple vectors simultaneously. They're about to achieve breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, quantum manipulation, and biological engineering, all while still using internal combustion engines and burning fossil fuels. The Council's neural network nearly crashed trying to process this information. High Counselor Zenra activated the Absolute Priority Broadcast Channel. Recommendations. Veldur's response sent waves of panic through the chamber. Standard protocols are useless. Humans have already imagined most of our containment methods in their entertainment media and developed theoretical countermeasures. For fun, the final analysis caused the first recorded mass panic attack in Council history. The conclusion was clear. Humanity wasn't just climbing the technological ladder. They were building their own ladder, using materials that shouldn't exist in ways that shouldn't work, while simultaneously discussing better ladder designs on something called Reddit. The Council's emergency decision was unprecedented. Begin immediate preparation for uncontrolled human advancement. Standard development models are no longer applicable. Warning to all civilizations. Humanity does not follow rules. They iterate them. A junior researcher added one final note to the session records. Addendum. Humans have already theorized the existence of something like our council in their fiction. They've been preparing first contact protocols as a hobby. We're not studying them. They're rehearsing for us. Contact Preparation Report. Status. Critical UBD-80. Classification. Beyond Top Secret. Subject. Humans are already ready. First contact specialist Lixven stared at their monitoring screens in disbelief. The data couldn't be correct, yet repeated scans confirmed it. Humans weren't just preparing for the possibility of alien contact. They had been actively getting ready for centuries. Central Command, they transmitted, you need to see this immediately. Humans have developed multiple first contact protocols, speculatively. The response was instantaneous. Clarify. They've been creating detailed plans for extraterrestrial contact through something called SETI protocols. But that's not the concerning part. Lixven's neural pathways tingled with anxiety. They've developed these protocols despite having no confirmation that other civilizations exist. The monitoring screens showed hundreds of human organizations, from government agencies to private research groups, all working on various aspects of potential alien contact. They had developed mathematical languages for universal communication, created cultural exchange frameworks, and even established ethical guidelines for interspecies interaction. Most alarming development, Lixven continued, they're already broadcasting welcome messages. They've been sending signals into space using methods that shouldn't work according to our models. But somehow they do. The screens displayed human attempts at interstellar communication. They had sent music, mathematics, images, and even their complete genetic code into space. More disturbing still, they had already developed preliminary translation matrices for languages they hadn't even confirmed existed. Update from Cultural Analysis Team. A new report flashed across Lixven's console. Humans have been preparing for this through something called science fiction. They've imagined every possible first contact scenario thousands of times. They've been rehearsing. The implications were staggering. Through their entertainment media, humans had already considered and developed responses to nearly every potential first contact situation. They had explored peaceful encounters, hostile invasions, technological exchanges, and cultural misunderstandings, all hypothetically, yet with surprising practical applications. Critical pattern identified, Lixven reported. Humans don't just plan for success. They actively imagine and prepare for failure scenarios. They have contingency plans for their contingency plans. The screens showed human universities offering courses in astrobiology and extraterrestrial anthropology. Research teams were developing protocols for everything from disease prevention to diplomatic etiquette with species they hadn't met yet. They had even created specialized legal frameworks for interstellar relations. Most concerning observation, Lixven's transmission carried the highest priority markers. Humans are approaching this with what they call optimistic pragmatism. They're hoping for the best while preparing for everything else. The monitoring data revealed something even more alarming. Humans had already begun adapting their technology for potential alien interaction. They were developing universal docking ports, creating adaptive communication systems, and designing spacecraft with interspecies accessibility in mind, all without knowing if they would ever be needed. Update on human readiness level. A subordinate analyst reported. They've established protocols for everything from peaceful scientific exchange to full planetary defense. But here's the truly disturbing part. They're excited about it. The screens showed countless human discussions about alien contact across their global network. They weren't just preparing. They were eagerly anticipating. They had developed theories about alien biology, culture, technology, and psychology, many of which were surprisingly accurate. Final analysis. Lixven transmitted to Central Command. Traditional first contact protocols are obsolete. Humans have already imagined and prepared for every approach we might consider. They've been waiting for us, planning for us, thinking about us, all before knowing we exist. The report's conclusion sent shockwaves through the contact preparation teams. Humans have turned first contact preparation into a cultural hobby. They've crowdsourced solutions to problems they don't know they have yet. Most critical observation, they're not just ready for contact, they're impatient for it. A postscript was added after detecting a new human satellite launch. Warning, they've just deployed another welcome beacon. The message encoded within it suggests they've already theorized the existence of our council. They're not just preparing for aliens, they're preparing specifically for us, and they can't wait to meet us. Final assessment report. Classification. Paradigm Chef T imminent. Distribution. Full council only. Subject. The universe after humanity. The Grand Archive of the Galactic Council had never seen such activity. Archivists from every major civilization worked frantically to update their predictive models as the final human assessment data poured in. The results were rewriting everything they thought they knew about technological advancement and species development. Supreme Archivist Zontal addressed the emergency session of the Council's Future Prediction Division. Their usually steady voice carried an unmistakable tremor. The data is clear, they announced, activating the quantum projection matrix. We are not merely witnessing the emergence of another spacefaring species. We are observing the birth of something unprecedented. The projection showed humanity's probable development curves, branching out in impossible fractals of innovation. They weren't just advancing, they were redefining the very nature of advancement. Our latest models suggest humans will solve the universe's greatest mysteries, Zontal continued, but not through any method we would recognize as proper scientific procedure. They will do it through what they call thinking outside the box, a concept that our translators are still struggling to properly convey. The The projection shifted to show multiple probability streams. Humans were approaching solutions to dark matter, cosmic inflation, and consciousness transfer through methods that seemed to ignore established scientific principles. They were solving quantum gravity while developing better coffee machines, discovering new dimensions while trying to improve their entertainment systems. Most critically, Zontal highlighted a particular data stream. They appear to be on the verge of transcending our understanding of physical laws entirely. They don't view universal constants as absolute. They see them as engineering challenges. The assembled archivists watched in stunned silence as the projection displayed potential human innovations over the next century. They weren't just going to join galactic civilization. They were going to fundamentally transform it. Our predictive models show humans achieving faster than light travel through at least 12 different methods, Zontal explained. But that's not the concerning part. They're likely to discover most of these methods by accident while trying to solve completely unrelated problems. The projection showed humans casually revolutionizing fields they had barely begun to understand. They were approaching artificial intelligence through computer gaming, discovering new forms of matter through cooking experiments, and developing quantum communication protocols through social media innovations. The implications are clear. Zontal's voice resonated through the chamber. We must completely rewrite our understanding of technological progress. Humans don't follow paths. They create new ones. They don't solve problems. They redefine them. The final analysis caused several archivists to require emergency stabilization. Humanity wasn't just going to join the galactic community. They were going to revolutionize it. Their chaotic, interconnected approach to innovation would transform every field of science and technology. We project that within one human lifetime, Zontal announced, they will either transcend our understanding of physics entirely or break it and create a new one, possibly both simultaneously. The chamber erupted in concerned discussion. A senior archivist activated their emergency priority channel. How do we prepare for this? Zontal's response sent ripples of unease through the gathering. We don't. We can't. Human innovation defies preparation. They will transform galactic civilization in ways we cannot predict because they create possibilities we cannot imagine. The final report to the Council contained the most radical recommendation in its history. Abandon all attempts to guide or control human development. They are not following our path to the stars. They are creating their own. Most critical prediction. Within a century, the galaxy will be unrecognizable. Humanity doesn't adapt to the universe. They adapt the universe to humanity. A last-minute addendum was added as new data arrived. Warning. Humans have already begun theorizing about concepts beyond our comprehension. They call it post-scarcity civilization and technological singularity. They're not just reaching for the stars. They're planning to rebuild them, and they're doing it for fun.